Hey YouTube, Engineer Boy 100 here. Today's video is going to be on how to change the fuel filter in a 2003 Porsche Turbo 996 x50. I'm going to go over to the car, take off the old one, put on this new one, and that should be about the side of it. Now, this nut on the filter is 19 millimeter opening socket. There's also a nut the same size that goes onto the connection hose. Now I don't have two 19 millimeter sockets, but you need two 19 millimeter sockets to take it off. So what I do have is a 3/4 inch socket or wrench, which is almost the same size. It's close enough. It's close enough for nuts this size, it'll work, and they're not that tight. So I'm going to use these two wrenches to take the old fuel filter off, put this new fuel filter on, and that'll be that. There's a little clip on this side. You have to press. So you press like that, and it opens like a little mouth, and just clip it on. And then this side has the 19 millimeter and 3/4 inch or 2 3/4 inches or whatever you have. And then there's a hose clamp that goes around like so and holds it in place. So let's go over the car so you can see what I'm doing. If you can't really see, it's kind of hard to show it all over there. So I kind of like to give you an overview so you can kind of follow along. But I'm just going to be taking the nut off of the hose, holding the nut on the filter so it doesn't turn, and then taking the hose clamp off. Depressing this little connector here and removing and replacing the old fuel filter with this new fuel filter. So let's go over the car. Alright, so we're over the car here. Here is the filter. It's over here right behind the coolant overflow tank. It's right behind there. And here is the nut from the hose. And here is the nut on the old filter. So I'm going to be going in there with the two wrenches I showed you, taking these loose, holding this one and taking this loose. And there's electrical ground here. A little wire you have to take loose. I don't know if you can see it. See if I can lower this a bit so you can get down in there and see. There's a hose clamp back here. Okay, and then the connector is right here that I'll be taking loose. So let's get started. First off, I'm going to try and take these two, take this loose, and I'm going to try to stay out of the way so you can actually see what I'm doing. So here's the nut on the hose. Good morning! And here's the nut on the filter. So here I go in the way. Sorry guys. So I'm just gonna give that a little tweak, and that's all it takes. And then you can just go in there, and there's almost no way to stay out of the way. You just turn that like so, take that off, and then you can take your hose clamp loose, or your fitting, you can depress that. So I've never done this on this car before, you may be able to tell. But, here we go. So let's depress here. Here we go. So now I have the connection loose here for the fuel supply. So now we can just take that hose clamp off of the body and snake that filter out. So I think that's going to be easy, I hope. Let's see. Yeah, it's coming out nicely. Something like that. Just gotta loosen this up enough so I get some movement on that filter body, and then snake that hose is curved. I'll snake that back around. And don't forget to take the electrical connector, or the ground, not the electrical connector, but it's ground. There we go. Take that off. And let's see, can I move this yet? I gotta get this looser. Sorry, here I go in the way again. I gotta hold that hose clamp because it's loose and turning. So I gotta hold it so that I can actually turn it. The screwdriver to loosen it up. There we go. Gas is spilling out. And another thing too, when you do any kind of a gas related service or maintenance, disconnect your battery. You don't want electricity flowing through your car where there could be a spark when you have fuel out like this, because if you get fire started under here, you burn up your wiring harness or blow up your house or something, you're not going to be happy about that. So my battery is disconnected, and I did that before I started. I should have mentioned that. Sorry. And because I forgot, as always, do this in any procedure that I demonstrate at your own risk. Do not try and blame me if you mess up. But you can pay me if you save money if you want. You can give me some money. I would like that. You can send me some checks. Alright. So I'm gonna have to rotate this a little bit. And it's flexible. The little hose is flexible, so you don't have to go all the way around. There we go. And there's the old one. It's out. So now I'm going to snake the new one in. Alright, so the new one, I'm going to try to back it in with the hose. I'm going to take the little hose and bend it. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. So I'm going to bend this so it goes through the hose clamp. Just a little bit, not any more than necessary. Oh man. I really want to show everything, but it's hard to stay out of the way of the camera. It's such a tight little corner. So here we go. There we go. I got it through. Got the little hose through the hose clamp. And now get the body. Try to get the body of the filter in through the hose clamp and re-situated the way it was. Fantastic. Now we just reattach. I think I'm going to reattach this little ground wire first while other things are not in the way. Well, the hose is not in the way. I have enough room. So let's put that on first, if I can. I really apologize. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but you know what I'm doing. I wish I knew what I was doing. Let's see here. That would be a luxury. Come on, come on, come on. Getting it, I'm getting it. Wiggle, wiggle. Yeah. Whoever would have thought the ground wire would be the hardest part of this job. Getting it to line back up. Come on, little guy. Can't get that on there. There we go. Line up. Come on, now snap it all the way on. Just can't get any leverage. There we go. Alright, so there, can you see it? I have the electrical, the ground connector on. Now I'm going to attach the outlet hose. I don't know if there's the outlet in there, to be honest with you. Well, it's one of them. goes in one end and out the other. So this should be easy to line up. It's probably a good idea to keep everything loose, like the hose clamp and everything loose, until you have all the connections done, because then the filter will move around for you so you can get it square with the threads and actually get everything started. And then tighten up the hose clamp on the body. And that's the outlet, because the arrow shows you right there. The arrow shows you that the direction of flow. So all I had to do is look at the filter to get that information. So now I'm going to put the connector on. See if I can do that and show at least part of it. Get it lined up and then push it on. So let me get it lined up like. Let me see. Can I go to this side? And just line that up and see if I line it. Pull on this. Trying to get that square so it will go on. Maybe I need to push the back of this hose. Details. There we go. And then you don't even have to depress the little button, just push it on once you get it square. So now all I have to do is make sure you remember to tighten up the outlet and tighten up the hose clamp. And that is how you install, remove and change and install a fuel filter on 2003 Porsche 996 Turbo X50. Thanks for watching. This is for those of you who might have been afraid that I forgot to tighten up the nut. I didn't forget. See? Tightening it up right now. And it doesn't have to be crazy tight, just tight enough so it doesn't leak. I got it all snapped back into her harness. Ground wires on, inlets on, outlets on, and we're good to go. Okay, so thanks for watching for real this time. Have a good day. Okay, so here's one of my turbochargers, and you may notice that I have put anti-seize on all those studs so that it makes it easier for me next time and I don't have nuts that are stuck. Now, another thing I want to point out is if you look at my turbocharger fan blades, they're white. They're covered with a white deposit, and what that indicates is, as someone pointed out to me, is that my engine is running lean. Okay, so that told me, holy smoke, there's something wrong. I need to figure out what it is. So what does lean mean? Well, lean means there's too much air for the amount of fuel, or there's not enough fuel for the amount of air. One of the two is incorrect. So let's go look at the other side, and let's go here. Same situation. I have a situation where I have lean white deposits on the blades. So since they're on both sides, it's going to make it easier for me to figure out why I'm running lean. In addition to having a knowledge of the history of the maintenance of the vehicle. So how do we start? Well, one, it's probably not a fuel injector, because fuel injectors don't all go lean at once. They don't all get clogged at once to create a less than optimal amount of fuel. So if it was a fuel injector, it would probably only be white on one side. So I ruled out fuel injectors. Plus, it runs smoothly and has good power. So that rules out fuel injectors for me as well. Okay, it doesn't have any kind of a loping or missing type of running. I didn't notice anything in it until I took the exhaust pipes off. So not fuel injectors. So what's the next thing it could be? It could be a clogged fuel filter. I mean a clogged air filter, right? But if it was a clogged air filter, it would be running rich because it would be restricting air. So it's not a clogged fuel air filter, and my air filter is regularly maintained and it's K&N, so it's got plenty of airflow. So it's going to be either the mass airflow meter, which it's not because I tested that with a brand new one, or it has to be a bad fuel pressure regulator, a weak fuel pump, or a clogged fuel filter. So I look at the maintenance history of the car and I look at the mileage of the car, 87,000 miles, and I say, what's the easiest, fastest, most likely culprit that affects both sides? My guess would be the fuel filter. This is where we want to start. It's the cheapest, easiest way to check it. So I changed the fuel filter. So how am I going to tell whether or not it's working? So here's the deal. I noticed that I was getting a little bit higher than normal gas mileage, and that's another indication of a lean mixture where you're not burning enough gas for the amount of air. So my indicator on my fuel miles per gallon is telling me I'm getting a little bit better than normal, what I've read everybody else gets. Now I'm going to change the fuel filter. I changed the fuel filter. My gas mileage should actually go down a little bit. And I'm also going to check for air leaks, vacuum leaks. That is another way you get a global, across all the cylinders, a global type of lean situation. So between the fuel filter and checking for vacuum leaks and air leaks, I think that's going to be the cause. One of those or both of those, combination of those, is going to be the cause of my lean fuel situation, and I think that should solve it. Okay, just a side note. Thanks for listening.